A very good morning to everyone. I am Abhilasha Vashish, student of Lovely Professional University, pursuing B.Ed course, and my pedagogies are Commerce and Economics. My registration number is 120200148. So let's start with the video, and this will again be in the continuation. So before starting, let's have a recall that what we studied in the previous lecture. So let's recall that what do you mean by business risk? And you can see here the hint also I have given. We discussed about this in the previous class. So I am hoping that each one of you will be able to tell me that what do you mean by business risk? You can see here Nokia connecting people and the fail. Right. So what do you mean by business risk? So business risk is nothing but the uncertainty of profit or losses or inadequate profit is known as business risk. Whatever uncertainties are there in a business, and there always is, that is called business risk. As we discussed in the previous class, that how Nokia was the king of the market, and suddenly how it failed, and how the market share reduced so much. That is nothing but business risk, isn't it? So I have a news article for you. This is a live mint, and it is a news about the Tata Nano that ends 2019 with zero production sales of one unit. Right? When Nano came in the market, it became a huge hit. The idea of each and every person, each and every, middle class, everyone having a car, because car is a luxury in India. So with that idea it came and it became a huge hit. But suddenly what happens that 2019 with zero production sale, which means not even one production was made, right? So how this thing happened, like this is very shocking. This is uh, very shocking that how it came with a very good idea and how it was a huge hit, and suddenly there was one, not even one production sale. So this was a news article about Tata Nano. You can read it afterward also, as I have pasted the link here. So one risk is there which is known as speculative risk. Involves both the possibility of gain as well as the possibility of losses. Now, speculative risk, what does it mean? That, as we discussed in the previous class also, that business risk can be of profit also, it can be loss also. Whatever uncertainty that we are having, it is nothing but risk. It can be in the way of loss also and profit also. So one such risk is speculative risk. It involves both the possibility of gain as well as the possibility of losses. When you have the possibility of both, that is called possibility of losses. Right. Arise due to change in market condition, including fluctuation in demand and supply, changes in price, or change in fashion and taste of the consumer. Now everything is so uncertain in the market. Anything might happen, right? The changes occur each and every day. So anything can happen, right? There can be fluctuation in the demand and supply of the product. There can be change in price. And when the price changes, you already know that most of the consumers are price sensitive. And even like the change in fashion changes so quickly. Sometimes there was a fashion of boat neck things and other things. Now the fashion has changed. Earlier plazo was not there, now plazo has came, so it has somewhere or the other reduced the sale of other things. So that's how the fashion changes, and how the fashion changes, it will uh, definitely have some sort of effect on your product also. And taste of the consumer, the taste of the consumer may also change. Earlier the consumer used to like it, but now they don't, so you can't do anything with the consumer right? You can't do anything with them. You have to face the losses or the profit also, right? These things can happen in the positive way also, that market condition has changed. Now the product of your product is more, the demand of your product is more, or the price has become less of your product, so everybody is demanding, or the fashion has changed. So earlier that clothes that you were not able to sell is being sold rapidly. Anything can happen, right? Taste of the consumer has changed. Earlier the consumer didn't used to like it, now they love your product. So anything may happen. It may be positive also, it may be negative also. You can have possibility of loss also as well as gain also. Both of them will come in business risk, and that is called speculative risk, to be very precise. Favorable market conditions are likely to result in gain, whereas unfavorable ones may result in losses. Right? Whatever favorable condition, whatever, if there is a favorable condition, suppose the policies of the government has been better for you, or anything might happen. Whatever favorable market condition has happened, it will result in gain. You will have more profit, and whereas unfavorable things happen, like how COVID-19 came and everything became so unfavorable, right? So suppose it was unfavorable for many of the things, but it was favorable for the mask department, for the sanitizer department, right? Sanitizer were sold rapidly in times of COVID-19. Masks were sold rapidly. In fact, there was a shortage of it, right? So whatever the market condition is, it is like that only. So your demand, your uh, business risk, your profit, your losses, everything will depend upon the market, whatever condition of the market is. So it can be positive also, it can be negative also. When it is positive, it will result in gain, whereas where it is negative, unfavorable condition, then it will result in losses. It's very clear. Now moving forward, think and share. Have you ever seen any business facing speculative risk? Now, what was speculative risk? I would like to say again. Speculative risk is the risk which uh, which can result in loss also, which can result in profit also. Now, I have pasted this photos for you so that you can have a great hint from it. That Nokia collecting people. What happened when suddenly Nokia failed? So when the taste of the consumer differed, when the competitors came in the market, so many things happened that Nokia failed. So that was the speculative risk which resulted in loss of the firm. And this hand sanitizer, during the COVID-19 times, the sale of hand sanitizer masks were so rapidly increased that it kind of favored the market of the sanitizer department. Earlier, nobody was interested in sanitizer at all. Some people used to buy it, but now let's look at the condition. Everybody carries a bottle of sanitizer with them, and it has come in so much demand. So this is basically speculative risk, right? So moving forward, here's a question for you. Speculative risk consists of only profit, only loss, or both A and B. I am giving you 1 minute or 30 seconds. 30 seconds is enough for you to answer the question, and then I'll tell you the answer. So, did speculative consisted only profit, which means only profit will be there, or the only losses will be there, or both A and B is there? So, the correct answer is both A and B. It can be either profit also, it can be loss also, right? So both A and B, profit and loss. Now moving forward, case. Suppose you have a stationery shop and it catches fire. So what will happen? Will you incur profit or loss or both? Right? So you are having a stationery shop, and what happens? Suddenly it catches fire. Everything is burnt, everything is wasted, everything is spoiled. So what will happen? Definitely you'll be very sad because your business, your stationery shop has caught fire. So in, in that case, what will happen? Will you incur profit, loss, or you will incur both? You will definitely incur loss. Is there any chance, by any chance, is there that you can get profit also from this? No, right? Because everything has burnt, everything has collapsed, everything is spoiled. You will only and only incur loss. The chance of profit is not at all there. Now, what happens is some people, as we studied in the previous lesson, that we have insurance. Some people, what they think is that insurance will come here, so they will have profit. But no, insurance, be very clear about it that insurance is only to cover your losses. It's not for the profit at all, ethically, right? So this particular incident will only result in loss and loss. There is no chance of profit at all. So that is called pure risk. Now, from the case, I think pure risk will be definitely clear to you. So, what is pure risk? Pure risk involves the possibility of only loss or no loss. Okay, there is no chance of profit at all. That is called pure risk. The chance of fire is an example of pure risk, right? Suppose if you catch fire, anything catches fire, it is very very clear that you will get only loss, right? Because everything will be burnt, everything will be wasted, so there is no chance of profit at all. The chance of fire is an example of pure risk. Their occurrence may result in loss, whereas non-occurrence may explain the absence of loss instead of gain. If fire catches, then so definitely you will face what? Loss. But if fire is not there, then you will not have loss, right? But in any of the case, gain is not there, right? Profit you can never get it from pure risk. It is pure risk, as the name itself suggests. Now you have to think and share that, give an example of pure risk and justify your answer. So I'm giving you 1 minute to think that what can be an example of pure risk. As I gave you the example of fire, now you can also give me example of some other thing. Right. So what I can think is that you have theft also, right? If somebody comes and steals your thing, that anyway you will face what? Loss only. You are never going to get profit from, if somebody is, coming and stealing, somebody is robbing you, then what will happen? You will never gain loss, you will never gain profit from it. You will always gain loss from it only. So that is an example of pure risk. And how I'm justifying is because if theft is there, then definitely you will not get any profit from it. You will definitely get loss from there. So this was the example and the justification. Now here's an assessment question, that what is pure risk? You have to explain the pure risk. So pure risk is the risk in which only there is a possibility of loss, right, or no loss. But in any of the chance, uh, profit cannot be there. That is called as pure risk. Now, nature of business risk. I had a video, nature of business risk. Risk is an essential part of every business, right? As we have been discussing from the past lectures also, that business involves risk. Without risk, there can be no business at all. If you're having business, you will experience risk. It ought to be there. So, and risk is also an essential part of business. Every business has some risk. No business can avoid risk. Although the amount of risk may vary from business to business, risk can be minimized but can never be eliminated. Right? So, business can never avoid risk. Right? The moment business is there, risk is there. Although if you have a proper planning, if you take care of the things, or you have taken insurance, everything is there. So if you're a very smart manager, then it is possible that risk will vary, your risk will be less, but it can be only minimized with proper planning and everything. But it can never be eliminated. It won't happen that you will not have risk at all. You will always have risk. It can be minimized, but it can never be eliminated. Now, business risk arise due to uncertainty. Uncertainty refers to the lack of knowledge about what is going to happen in the future. Now, we are not babas here. We are not so intelligent that we will know what will happen in the future. Nobody is God here. So that uncertainty or the lack of knowledge of what is going to happen in future, we don't know what can happen in future, right? So that is nothing but the reason for the business risk, that uncertainty. Also, the natural calamities, the change in demand and price, change in government policies and price, improvement in technology, these are also uncertainty of the business risk. Anything may happen, right? Natural calamities can come, like how COVID suddenly came and all the business collapsed. Demand and the prices may change, government policies may change, prices may change, technology can be there, you know. So many things can happen at the same time, so we just don't know what will happen in the future. We are no god. So basically business risk will always arrive due to uncertainty, because if you know what will happen in the future, you can work accordingly, but we don't know what will happen in the future. The next thing is, uh, degree of risk depend mainly upon the nature and size of the business. Nature of the size, what is this? Type of goods and services produced and sold, and size of businesses, volume of production and sale are the main factors which determine the amount of risk in a business. Now, what type of good you produce, what type of business you deal with, right? It depends upon that, right? Whatever nature of your business is. Now, size of the business is very important. Now, if you're having if the size of the business is small, so your risk will also be small. It's not that you will open a shop for 10,000 and you can expect a loss of 1 crore. It won't happen like that, right? But if you open a company for 1 crore, then you can get a loss of 1 crore, right? Or even more than that. That can happen. So obviously your degree of risk, that how much risk you will be facing or how much risk you can have, it depends upon the nature and the size of the business, right? So I think it's clear up till here. So moving forward, profit is the reward for risk taking. Again, I will say the same thing, that so many people have, ideas and of business and everything, but nobody wants to take that initiative because risk is there. Nobody wants to take that risk. But no risk, no gain. If you do not take the risk, then you will also not get the gain, because business is all about risk, and if you play with that risk, then you will get the profit. So uh, if you want to take the risk, you will get the gain for it. So that profit is the reward for that risk taking. No risk no gain is an old age old principle which applies to all the business. If you don't take risk, you will not gain anything. It is an old age principle and it applies to all the business. If you want money, if you want profit, you have to take the risk. Now, greater the risk involved in the business, higher is the chance of profit. Now, how much risk is there, the profit will also be accordingly. An entrepreneur undertakes the risk under the expectation of higher profit. Now everybody knows that risk will be there, but who will take the initiative? The one who knows that, okay, if I take these many risks, then I can get these many profit. So it depends upon that. Profit is thus the reward for risk taking. That profit is the reward for that risk taking, right? Nobody is that confident. Most of the people are not that confident about their plan, about their business, so they don't take the risk. But the people who are confident about it, people who are expecting a higher return of it, they will definitely take the risk, and that is the reward for them. Profit. Next, think and share that, do you think COVID 19 acted as a risk to business? Which nature of risk does it depict? So, do you think COVID 19 acted as a risk to business? Yes, it definitely added as a risk to business, because suddenly everything was changed. Uncertainty is there, right? We never expected that something like that will come in our history, right? So COVID 19 definitely acted as a risk to business. It caused a lot of uncertainty in the business, which many of the people or none of us has actually expected, right? So definitely COVID-19 was a risk to the business. Now, which nature of risk does it depict? It depicts the natural calamities, right? Because it was natural, we didn't know. So that was the nature of the risk it depicts. Next, if everything is clear, then I will get the answer for this. That which of the following is not true regarding the nature of risk? Business arise risk arise due to uncertainty. Yes, business does arise due to uncertainty. Obviously, we do not know what will happen in the future. Our future is so uncertain that uh, business risk is there. So, profit is the reward for risk taking. Definitely, not everybody is that brave enough that they will take the risk. So, those who take the risk, it is the reward for them. Profit is the reward for them. Degree of risk does not depend upon the nature and size of the business. This seems a little confusing. Let's look at the D option. Risk is an essential part of every business. Yes, risk is essential part of every business. Removing risk is inevitable. It's not possible at all. The uh, degree or the of the risk can be minimized. It can definitely be minimized, but it can never be uh, eliminated. Now look at the C option. Degree of risk does not depend upon the size of business. Obviously, it will depend upon the size of business. If you have a small business, you will have small risk only. As I gave you the example before, that if you open a shop for 10,000, it's not that you can get a loss for 1 crore or 10 crore like that. But if you open a company for 1 crore, you may get loss of 1 crore or even more than that. So it will depend on the size of the business. So the correct answer is C. Now let's go to the recapitulation that today we have learnt about speculative risk, pure risk, and nature of the risk. Right? Speculative risk was the risk in which profit and loss both can be there. If there is a gain, then it will result in profit. If there is a unfavorable condition and there is not gain, there are losses, then loss will be there. Pure risk is the risk in which only losses will be incurred, no chance of profit at all. And we also studied about the nature of risk. Now let's match the following with one another. Profit is the reward for risk taking. Pure risk, risk is an essential part of every business. Let's match with them. First one, profit is the reward for risk taking. Yes, no risk, no gain is the old age principle which applies to all types of business. Risk is an essential part of business. Every business has some risk and no one can avoid risk. You can definitely minimize it, but you can never avoid it. Now, pure risk. What is pure risk? It refers to the involve only the possibility of loss or no loss. So we have done this as well. Now we have to complete the table. Speculative risk. What is speculative risk? Loss can be there or profit can be there. In pure risk, what can be there? There can be loss, right? And no profit at all. Now, coming to your homework, that have you ever witnessed any shop or a business getting closed in your locality? Have you ever seen any business that was that was closed? Right? You have to interact with the owner to find out the reason for it, losses incurred, and why it closed. You have to prepare a report on the type of business risk and the nature of business risk is by the uh, shop or the business. Right? We studied about the type of risk. You have to identify it. Then we studied about the nature of risk. You have to identify that suppose a shop has closed. So what was the nature of business that they were doing? Right? What was the business risk that they faced? Right? Any shop or the business in your locality. So that's it from my side. I hope you have enjoyed my lecture. Thank you so much for being with me.